Gordon Bacon. I'm the CEO of Pulse Canada, and for 22 years I've worked with the National Association in Canada that represents pulse farmers as well as the pulse trade. Well, it was the late 1990s when Canadian farmers and the Canadian trade realized that they had many issues that they shared and that they would be more efficient by collaborating and working together. So the provincial grower groups amalgamated with the National Trade Association to create one national body, and our objectives really have always been to work on issues where we have shared and common agenda. So this includes market access issues and transportation, which affects day-to-day trade. But we also had a mandate to look to the future and ask questions about where will pulses play a role in diets and in food production in the future. Many market access issues have to be dealt with at a government-to-government level. So our role as the National Industry Association is to ensure that the Canadian government is aware of the implications of trade restrictions, but we also can provide information to other governments around the world to ensure that governments are making the best decision they can based on the information that we can provide to augment what they already have. You know, for 20 years we really have focused on health, nutrition, and environmental sustainability and asked the question, what contribution can pulses make to society around the areas of human health, nutrition, and sustainability? And really we've come into our own now. After working on these for nearly 2 decades, there is now consumer interest and there's growing government interest in how we can ensure that we have healthy people and a healthy planet. We're also fortunate in Canada that Protein Industries Canada was set up with money from the federal government to augment the industry development money. So I think the time for pulses, not only in Canada but around the world, is really now. And we can look at providing solutions to address, some of our chronic health issues around the world, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, obesity-related problems, but also the important role of ensuring that we have sustainable diets. Well, I think that the movement to plant-based foods and rethinking our dietary approach is going to have an enormous impact, not just for Canada, but for pulse-producing nations around the world. We really have created a completely new use that really challenges us to think about what's the definition of quality that we need to have for the future. In the past, size, shape, and color really defined everything about our industry, but now we need to be thinking about its functionality and food applications. We need to be thinking about food products from an environmental perspective. So I really think it's time that we can rethink food, and the role that pulses will play, I think, is beyond anything that any of us can imagine today. Well, the GPC is right on trend with a lot of the issues we're facing. We need to increase production in markets around the world because this demand for the food industry needs to have an adequate supply. We need to continue to have people promoting pulses, to have consumers rethink, and we need trade rules. So I think GPC's role and the Colombo Accord really defines a path for the future and is something that all members need to get behind and work hard to achieve.